Hey guys, it's Brent, and I just want to say really quick, I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. Be sure to click subscribe and hit the notification button so you get notifications so you don't miss any content. Also, feel free to leave a thumbs up or leave a comment and enjoy the video.
In my head.
Hey guys, it's Brant, and I'm back with another Kiss review. And what I'm going to be reviewing today is we're going to be diving a little more into the Kiss box set that I started working on and I did a video on, and I had some people say, we really liked that video, so we want you to do more. So in the last video, if you've not seen it, it's episode 1. I'll put the link to it down in the comments or down in the description. And I basically started looking at the box set, not diving too much into it, started looking at the book and got to the point where they started talking about the songs. And I talked about the first song, Deuce. It was a demo, one of the Eddie Kramer Electric Lady demos for the first Kiss album. And so what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next song. And like I said, I'm kind of slow burning into this, discovering these tracks. Some of these tracks I've heard, some of them I've not heard in a long time, and some of them I've never heard. And I'm really looking forward to hearing some of these. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get into the track, which is Deuce. So this is the box set that I talked about in the first video. And inside of it, it's basically the set list, the song list for the Kiss collection. And like I said, it says, as we're going to be doing here, we're going to be talking about Deuce. And like I said, it's a demo previously unreleased, and it's from the Electric Lady demos for the first Kiss album. So I'm going to try to keep this here where everybody can see it and doesn't get too much glare on it from the light. But so we're just going to fast forward past the stuff that we've looked at before, but I still got to pause at that picture because, like I said before in my previous video, I love any of the outtakes that you see from the first Kiss album cover. I just think they're really awesome. So we're going to go forward to, okay, disc 1. And so track 2, Deuce. And so here's the book. Here's the part of the book for it. It was written by Gene, and Gene plays the bass, lead vocals. Paul Stanley plays rhythm guitar, vocals. Ace Frehley, lead guitar. Peter Criss, drums. Produced by Eddie Kramer. Recorded in the spring of 1973 at Electric Lady Studios, New York. And it's previously unreleased. Gene says, I was living with my first girlfriend in my own apartment. At that point after work, I'd rather be holding my bass guitar and strumming it or eating some freshly baked cakes she used to make. And Gene loves his cakes. He loves his snacks and he loves his sweets. One was a lot more fattening. Deuce was written on the bass because I didn't have a guitar around. I started fooling around with the bass figure for Bitch by Rolling Stones, and that started to subvert and morph into the bass figure onto my own. Gene goes on to say, once I had the bass figure, the rest of the song pretty much wrote itself. It was a very linear kind of experience. The words just came out, and since the song first appeared on our first record, people have consistently walked up to me and asked, what does Deuce mean? I had no sense of what I wanted to write about, which was that guys work all day, bring home the money, and at least the girl that stays at home could do was support the guy. That was the intention, and perhaps he's worked twice as much as she is. But those were early days, and as you move on, you live and learn. He continues to say, when I brought Deuce into the band, Paul suggested the opening signature, which begins on guitar, and the song was born. We had to pick 5 songs to record with Eddie Kramer for the first demo he produced for us, and Deuce was certainly high on the list. Deuce is also the song that they used to open their set with, and I think it should have opened the first album rather than Strutter, but that's just me. But I mentioned that in my first Kiss album review, which is also in the description. Deuce was also the very first song we played to audition Ace with. To this day, Ace says it's his favorite Kiss song. Paul says Gene had a song called Deuce, which was loosely based on Bitch by the Rolling Stones. After hearing it, It needed an intro figure, a chord progression at the beginning of Deuce. That was me ripping off the raspberries. The thing that starts it off is me bastardizing Go All the Way. The same figure opens the song is reintroduced after solo. One interesting point is that I didn't actually write the song, but a part of what is the key element of the song. And in the sound of the band was something that came from the collaboration. Ace says, this is my favorite Kiss song. When I auditioned for Kiss, they said, we're going to play a song. Give it a listen, then try playing along. The song was Deuce. They played it as a three-piece in the key of A. I thought, that's easy enough, so I got up and wailed for 4 minutes playing lead work over it. Now, like I said, I've reviewed Deuce as a studio version. I've never reviewed this demo version. I reviewed the studio version that Kerner and Wise produced for the first Kiss album. And it's actually, Deuce is actually one of my favorite songs on the first Kiss album. I don't really like the first Kiss album as a whole, not because of the songs, because most of the songs on the first Kiss album, with the exception of a couple songs, are classics. They're staples that they play even to this day. It's one of those songs that's been there since the very beginning. And but I don't really like the sound production and the audio production of the first album. And me being a person that has a musician's ear, stuff like that kind of earworms my brain, and it takes away a little bit of enjoyment for me. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time. But I've never really rated the demo version. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to play some clips of it here. Not too much, so I don't get a copyright strike. We're going to play some clips of it here, and and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about it. So we'll go ahead and take the merchandise catalog here, the 73 to 2002 merchandise catalog. We'll take that away. Already covered that in the first episode. Here's disc 1 that we listened to Strutter off of so far. It's got this is from 66 to 75. It's got Kiss in the very early costumes. It's got Gene on the back. And I really like how they did this. It's got Gene on the back, if you see that. But then on the inside, it's got old school Gene on the inside. And it's got this picture here. And I've already kind of opened up this on the previous video, but I will go ahead and show a little bit of it here also, for those of you who haven't seen it. But it basically shows some old photos and some classic, like real early Gene, real early Peter, and real early Paul and Ace. And like I said, I mentioned Ace didn't even have his white face on here, and you see a lot of early pictures of him like that. And I think they probably talked him into wearing the white face to be conform in continuity with the rest of the band. But you see a lot of pictures of Ace in the beginning with not the white face, just the lightning strikes around his eyes and the black lipstick. And then it's got the picture on the back, the Paul in the Bandit, which I'm a big fan of the Bandit makeup, a Kiss CD here. So we're going to turn on the old CD player and we're going to check it out. Now, one thing that I'll tell you that I noticed right off is that it seems like the tempo is faster. And I like the tempo of that. I like the rawness of the way these, I know it's a demo, but I like the rawness and the underproduction. I think the rawness and the underproduction really suited Kiss for where they were at this point in time, and they were very hungry. They had a direction. Gene and Paul had a direction that they knew they wanted to go in, and they had acquired Peter, and who just seemed to fit at the time. They had acquired Ace, who was flashing balls, and maybe a little hard to control, kind of like trying to tame a tornado at the time. And so they had everything that they wanted. And having left and dropped the deal and walked away from the deal with Wicked Lester, The song I previously talked about, Strutter, is a good gauge and barometer on where Paul was going to be headed in his songwriting. You see early signs of that Paul Stanley construction. You see it also in Firehouse, which I think he wrote when he was like 16. So Paul was already very astute in writing. And so you see a lot of that in these early songs with Strutter, with Paul, and you see a lot of what the Demon and what Gene is going to do, even in his singing style on here. You see the direction that Gene is going to go and going to take, and they're two different sides of the coin. So I really like what I'm hearing so far. I like the tempo. I like that the guitar is there's a riff that they're doing. It's like they're doing a tick-a-down, tick-a-down. It's like they're playing like extra notes or something that you don't necessarily hear on the first album. So let's get back to another part of the song. So on the little turnaround there, that's a little turnaround, and that's one of the first places where Ace kind of throws in a little bit of a solo. And it's the same thing that I noticed with the Strutter demo, is the solo is not as developed and not as completely written as it is on the actual studio release. And that's typical. I've been in bands where we've made many demos before, and demos are just, it's a representation of where you're going to go with an idea for a song. You know, everything, the lyrics may not be exactly what they're going to be. Sometimes demos change drastically from the demo to the original release. I'm sure we're going to hear that. You know, I've already heard that with songs like Detroit Rock City. I'm pretty sure the demo for Detroit Rock City is on here. God of Thunder was originally sang by Paul. So, and it totally had lyric changes and stuff. So you're going to see huge differences in demos, from demos to, and sometimes just minor changes, because the demo is pretty much where they want it to be. And that's a lot of case with Paul. Sometimes Paul's demos they don't hardly change from demo to studio release. But Ace don't quite have the solo worked out there. It's kind of neat hearing the difference. And so let's get back to another part of the song. Now, I don't know if I actually do this with the actual release that's on the album, but I find myself, while I'm listening to this, since it's got the upbeated tempo, and that's one of the things that I dinged Kiss for on their first album, was everything, it felt like it was a few beats slow and it was sluggish, you know, and all the songs, you know, even songs that's not like Deuce, like Firehouse, you know, and stuff like that, they seem like they were just slower. But I'm finding myself, while I'm listening to this, I'm finding myself sitting here going, because I like the tempo of this song. I really do. I'm sitting here kind of head nodding to it. And so we're getting ready to go into the solo. I'm curious to see how much Ace had the solo worked out, because you got to remember, this is the first track he ever played with Kiss. It's like the very first little part of the solo there, he's got those bends that he does, those but what he's playing around it and stuff isn't exactly what he plays on the album. So I think he was still kind of working it out in the first part of the solo. So let's hear the second part of the solo once he gets done with all these bends. So yeah, see, that's a big difference for those of you who know this song well and know this solo well. That's a big difference on the demo to the solo on the album. And I actually like the solo on the album better. I like the solo for Strutter on the album better than the demo. But of course, like I said, this is the demo. So I'm still digging this song though. I'm still digging the vibe and the jive and the tempo that it's got. So let's see if we can finish this thing out. Let's hear what they do between now and the end of the song. I've always liked that turnaround that Paul plays. You know, I know he's proud of it. He mentioned it in the book. And that, even though that he didn't really write the song, he's right. That just that little contribution that he made makes this song. I love Gene's scream there. That's still, you know, Gene, he has one of the best screams. He's got that raspiness to his, that gutterness to his voice that he does. And then we got the little outro solo going on here. So far, this is very different. You hear a lot of those notes at the beginning, those triplet notes at the beginning and everything. But now he's going into some things that, you know, is not on the original, on the release. And so, but I'm still digging it. You know, I know he's still working it out at this point in time. So I really dig this version. I don't like the solo that Ace does in it as much as I do the original. I like the way the drums sound in this, and I like the way Gene sounds in it. I think he has a little more energy and a little more spark in his voice. The guitars sound better. They, you know, they sound better. I like the tempo of the song a lot better. It's more attuned to what they were doing live during that time. It's more in tune with that. If you find some of the live things from like the Popcorn Club or things like that, and you listen to them, and then you listen to the first Kiss album, a lot of the energy basically is just not there. I'd probably say I like this better than the original version on the album, but not by much. Like I said, I really love Ace's solo on the first album, a lot more than I like it on the demo here. And but I like everything else about the demo: the speed, the sound, Gene's voice, the energy, and everything. So Deuce is a song to me, a little retrospect. You know, I want to throw some retrospect in here on these. I don't have a whole lot of retrospect memories for the song Deuce. I didn't come along being a Kiss fan until after Alive 2 had came out. Even though my first album was Destroyer, I got Destroyer and Alive 2 almost at the same time. I think I got them within the same week or same couple, maybe the same month. I can't remember. I was 7 or 8. Deuce was a song that I didn't hear until later because they did not play it on Alive 2. They didn't repeat any songs from the first 3 albums, and it wasn't on Destroyer. So I didn't hear Deuce until later. The first time I heard Deuce was on Alive. It was not the studio version. So I think that's why I kind of favor the more Alive sound than I did the studio version. But I really enjoy Deuce. It's one of those songs that it's probably one of my favorite Kiss songs, you know, from the very first 3 albums, and it's probably a song that I really like. That's probably, you know, one of my favorite Kiss songs of all time, probably in the top 20. I'm going to eventually do that top 20 once I finish all the Kiss album reviews. And but I hope you enjoyed this video and everything, and check out some other videos. I'm Brant in my head channel, and I'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks for watching. So if you want to see more videos like this, I've got them. I've got Kiss album reviews. I've reviewed everything up to Carnival of Souls at this point. And you can also check out my other retrospects for 80s albums. And you can also feel free to click on my face there and subscribe and click notifications. And I appreciate you watching, guys.